I was born and raised in a little town called McAlester, Oklahoma. I went to a school that was on the outskirts of the town called Kiowa, and I graduated with 16 people. So I'm from a very, very small community. I grew up on a little ranch. I grew up in a very, very abusive home. And it was a lot of hard work, a lot of abuse, and so I got the hell out of there as soon as I could. I remember getting to school on September 11th, 2001, and seeing the planes hit the Twin Towers on 9/11. And before then, I never really gave the military a thought. I just wanted to get out of the small town that I was in. And after that day, even though I didn't really have any connection with the city of New York, it was just, I felt like I wanted to do something about what had happened. So from 2001 on, I knew I was going to be in the military. 3 months after I graduated, I turned 18, and the day after I turned 18, I left for infantry school. It was a culture shock in some ways it wasn't, because I grew up in a very abusive home, so there was a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming. To be honest, it finally felt like I was a part of something. I grew up in such a small community, in such a house that did not foster any type of unity of any sense, that when I got there, everyone was after the same thing. And that was to be soldiers. And so as scary as it was, it felt amazing. Biggest adjustment was, I like to go chase girls, man. So to be honest with you, I like to, go chase girls and talk to girls and, the typical 16, 17, 18-year-old thing. So I enlisted in the infantry where it was all males, it was all men. So I got there, and the first thing I thought was, what the hell have I done? You know what I mean? I graduated infantry school. I got stationed at Fort Hood in South Texas. And 73 days after I got to Fort Hood, I was on an airplane to Baghdad International Airport. A non-eventful day fighting the Iraq War was 3 8-hour shifts. You did 8-hour patrols. You came down, you had 8 hours downtime where you would clean your weapon, you would get something to eat, you would sleep, you would try to get a workout in if you wanted to, if you weren't too tired. We had to pull our own security on the fob. So you would go 8 hours patrol, 8 hours downtime to clean your weapon, eat, work out, sleep, and then 8 hours security, come off security, right back onto patrol. It was absolutely a brotherhood. There was a clique. It was one clique, and we all had the same objective, and it was stay alive. It was more than a brotherhood. Like I've never felt anything like it before or since. It was the hardest time of my life, but I spent it with the best people on the face of the earth. I came off security. We checked the trucks. We checked all our gear like we did every day the first 3.5 months leading up to that day. I got up in the gunner's hatch, and I was first vehicle, and so we're pulling out of the fob, and we're just pulling out, and there's a vehicle up ahead. Don't think too much of it. It's like I said, it's been 3.5 months and it's been relatively quiet. I'm rotating around like this to look forward, and then all of a sudden, poof. And next thing I know, two friends of mine are gone, and at the time I didn't know what was wrong with me. It turned out later that I got a traumatic brain injury in the explosion, but yeah. If I could tell them one more thing, I'd tell them I love them. It changed my life forever. Changed the way I look at a lot of things. It changed my entire life, since that day before that day I didn't have PTSD, I didn't have severe anxiety, I didn't have bouts of depression. It changed everything. That day changed everything. The first day was awesome. I remember taking off my boots and my socks, and I remember walking in the first patch of grass that I saw. Just to feel the grass between my toes. But very quickly, stuff started taking a toll on me, and I started drinking a lot, and I was still a great soldier. I was a great soldier, and I loved being a soldier, but I had some major demons. Another situation happened in Iraq where I had to take someone's life, and I had to take that person's life because he was about to kill 2 people. So I took his life at point blank range. And I know it's something that, most people, they think that their initial response or their lifelong response would be, oh, it was either him or me, and it doesn't matter, if they're a terrorist or whatever. There's a human being that's not walking the earth today because of my actions. I think those demons started manifesting because those 2 friends, they were extremely grateful for what I did. Every night it was, hey, this is Fox, man. Fox is a straight killer. He's a straight killer. He saved our life. He's a straight killer. It never gave me an opportunity to try to let that pass. It was always in the forefront of my mind. It started off, with alcohol, and being 19 years old and a war vet. You could get away real easily with drinking 7 nights a week. It wasn't uncommon. It's not uncommon for any 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old guy to drink 5, 6, 7 nights a week. So it was very easy to kind of fly under the radar with people in regards to how bad I was abusing alcohol. When I got that traumatic brain injury, I also disintegrated 2 discs in my back and one in my neck in the explosion. And so I went to the doctor, and they prescribed me Oxycontins. I quickly got addicted to the Oxycontin, and the doctor just kept giving them to me, and they started to not last me the full month. And then once that happened, I would buy some off the street. I went to my dealer's house one time when I needed some Oxycontin, and he said, I'm out of Oxycontin, but I got this stuff called heroin. It's the same thing. He's like, I even got a needle. Showed me how to pull it up, showed me how to shoot it, and from that day on, for almost 2 years straight, I shot up $100 a day of heroin. Rock bottom was going to rehab, my wife driving me to rehab for the 7th time. And this entire time, the other 6 times in this dark period of my life, she had always been like, it was never, you're going to get through this. It was always, we are going to get through this. You know, I had stolen money from her. I had taken money from our joint savings account. I did anything and everything to get my hands on heroin. And when she drove me to rehab for the 7th time, I went to grab her hand, and she kind of pulled away. And it was the first time she ever did that. And she looked me dead in the eye and said, something's got to change. And that was December 17th, 2017, and I've been sober since that day. My best friend, Mike Andrews, who's been my best friend since first grade, actually got me into wrestling when we were in elementary school. It kind of shows my age, but he used to record WWF at the time, WWF on VHS, and I would record WCW Nitro, and then we'd watch them, and then come to school on Tuesday and exchange tapes. That's how far back, we've known each other. Well, when I get clean and get out of rehab, I make the decision that I don't want to be a paramedic anymore, because being a paramedic, I'm carrying morphine, I'm carrying fentanyl, I'm carrying Valium, I'm carrying everything. And, I'm a needle-dependent addict, so it would have been very easy for me to just, pop open a morphine vial and shoot up. And so I made a decision to not continue with my job. Me and EC3 had a mutual friend. We just randomly had a mutual friend, and I was driving 7 hours one way to just, to have wrestling matches, to get reps, and to learn the craft. And he tells me on a Wednesday, hey, EC3 is going to be up in Minnesota on Friday. And he gave me the address of the building that EC3 was wrestling in. And I had 6 matches under my belt. I was as green can be. And I just took a chance. I just drove through the night, 13 hours one way. Didn't have a plan, didn't know who the promoter was, didn't know if I was even going to be able to get in the locker room. But I just, for whatever reason, I just felt like, man, I've got to meet EC3. I go up there, I talk to the promoter, I'm able to get myself into the locker room, and I go up to EC3, and we shake hands, and before I can even introduce myself, he sees my Bronze Star tattoo, and he starts talking about his grandfather in World War II. And we get to talking about that, and we end up, him and Richard Holiday end up sitting on a leather couch in this locker room for 5 hours, just talking. And for 4 hours and 45 minutes, wrestling wasn't even mentioned. The last 15 minutes, we started talking about wrestling. And he was just the nicest guy. You know what I mean? He wasn't EC3. He was Michael Hutter. I met him in the wrestling bubble, but it's always been a personal friendship. What makes Exodus so special to me is it's a platform. It's the first NWA territory now that William Patrick Corgan owns the NWA. It's the first territory in the new territory system. It's owned by, my friends, in EC3 and Noah and Gary and Roby. But it's a place that has given me a platform to just be me, to just be Leo Fox. They just have been so good to me. And without Exodus Pro, I don't think I would be nearly as good of a wrestler that I am right now, and I don't think that I would be nearly as far in my career. Those guys have just given me a platform to be me. And I mean, what more could you ask for? I was coming up each month to Cleveland, Ohio, from Oklahoma to wrestle at Exodus Pro, and EC3 told me, like, you're getting better, but the only way that I'm really going to be able to truly help you is if I'm with you every day. And so I told him, when you get a school, I'll be here. And he let me know in March of 2024 that he was going to have a school, and it was going to start mid-May of 2024. And I talked to my wife that day and was like, I'm going to have to relocate to Cleveland for the next 6 months. I already knew that it's what I needed to do because that's what EC3 said. But when my wife, who was telling me she's pregnant, but also telling me, you're absolutely not coming home, you're going to stay there and you're going to train for 6 months, that's when I knew for sure that I had made the right decision to train there, to train here. I think the lesson that I take from war that really helps me in the pro wrestling world is dedication keeps you alive. So dedication keeps you alive, plain and simple. And if you have dedication to this business and you work hard and you continue to learn, you'll make something of yourself. And so I stay dedicated every single day. That's something that I learned, in the military. War and wrestling, they don't care if you're tired, hungry, or frustrated. You have a job to do and you got to do it. Lessons that I learned from addiction that helped me in wrestling, it's that, there's always going to be someone there that's willing to help you. In my case, it was my wife. When I was in my addiction, and in wrestling, it's been EC3. When I was in my addiction, a lot of people that I thought that I had a lot of love for, turned their back on me and didn't, just kind of wrote me off as another addict. You know what I mean? And you see that in the wrestling world sometimes, where you get a little bit of success and people get jealous of you and they just kind of write you off and talk about you behind your back and stuff like that. But I like to stay on the positive side and just remember that no matter what, there's going to be someone there to help you. And that's my wife and EC3. Am I ever going to be as good as I want to be? That's a huge fear of mine, I have a lot of confidence in myself, and I think that one day soon I'm going to see, shake hands with Billy Corgan as he gives me a contract. But my biggest fear is am I ever going to be as good as I want to be? I want to be the NWA World Champion in 5 years, and I'd like the opportunity to win the title from EC3. I'll win it from someone else. I'll gladly win it from someone else, but storybook moment would be winning it from EC3 himself. So Billy, if you're watching, book it. I don't know how to give up, and if you're the pain that people feel in everyday life, trust me, I have felt that pain too. Whether it's addiction, losing your friend, having a traumatic injury happen to you, having a traumatic childhood. I've had it all happen to me, and I haven't given up. So I would love for fans to know that whatever they're going through, I've gone through something similar, and I've come out the other side, in a great position. And if they ever have any doubt if they'll make it through, like, they can look at me and see that if I can make it through, they can absolutely make it through.
You've come a long way. You got a way to go. There's nothing wrong with that. Because I am proud of you. Each day, every day, and until we meet again, I love you, bro.
Me and my wife actually went to school together. We'd known each other basically our entire lives, and she actually did not like me in high school. Like, she didn't like me at all, because I came from an abusive home, so I think I acted out a lot. Tried to portray a sense of badassness, or someone that doesn't have a care in the world, when in reality I was very miserable in some instances, and so she really did not like me. But we graduate high school, she leaves and goes off to college, and I leave for the military, and I moved back 6 years later. She had moved back maybe 8 months before I did, and she was at a bar sitting there having a martini, and I walked in, and it's the first time I seen her in at least 6 years, and I went up to her and started talking to her, and she was not having it whatsoever, and I was trying to lay my best game on her, and I remember the last thing she said to me was, why don't you go drink your beer over there? And so she totally shut me down, and then so I started messaging her on Facebook. So every Tuesday I would message her and ask her out, and for, I don't know, 3 months, she just blew me off. Was like, no, no, no. And finally, I sent her some flowers to work and asked her out. And finally, she was like, all right, we'll go out. So she tells me to meet her at a bar. And I'm thinking we're gonna go on it. We're gonna go have a drink together and talk, catch up and get to know each other as adults and stuff. No, she had her best friend Kinsey with her, so it wasn't a date at all. It was like, it was kind of embarrassing. I was like, what the hell is this? So that was I think that was a Tuesday, because I was asking her out every Tuesday. Finally, she was like, all right, we'll go out this Tuesday. And then I think 2 days later, we went on like a proper date, and we've been together ever since. And that was 12 years ago now. We have a son, and then my wife's pregnant right now. We are expecting a little girl. It just felt like I had to be a better person. I had to show him, how to be a man. And, part of being a man is not giving up, no matter what. And so that pushes me a lot in this sport, in this business, because, how am I going to tell him, what I mean, that he can't give up on something, if he watches me, quit because I don't make it to the NWA, in 6 months, or, whatever. I'm honored to be a part of your journey, a helpful guide. And semi-psychotic motivator. Since day one, I knew you were one of the good ones. one that has been to hell and through hell and came out a better man. One that would do what it takes and what he says. One that I can truly call a friend. That means a lot. I can't believe he wrote that. That's really awesome.